And welcome everybody to Two Gray Goatees and a Whistle. I am joined today by Coach T, and the man brought himself back today for another questionnaire for us and get to talk about his game. Andrew Carter, thanks for joining us, both of you guys. So today we're going to kind of cover a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Thanks for having me again.
So today we're going to kind of cover the game that you had. We're going to kind of talk about the game on Sunday against Tulsa, and we'll go from there. I kind of want to get your thoughts. T, I don't know if you followed too much what was going on between Arizona and San Diego game. Andrew, I'm sure there was a little bit of talk where you're at, but I'm not 100% sure. Do you guys understand what happened with what was Arizona and San Diego? Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit later, but we're going to talk about it. I kind of want you guys' thoughts on it. So let's go ahead and we'll get on to talking a little bit about the game a little bit and kind of get your thoughts. Coach T, any questions you have, I'll let you get in there too. So, well, first of all, I'd like to once again welcome Andrew to here. First thing I want to ask you is, how's your body holding up? It looks like you got a nice little mark on your arm, but that's not necessarily from the game. But how's your body feeling?
My body feels pretty good. No, everything feels good. I've been hitting the training room hard this week. I've been hitting the ice bath. I got a stim on my back earlier today because my back got a little tight. But yeah, I feel fine. Just make sure I get good sleep tonight for sure, and then we have a long travel day tomorrow, so I have a lot of time to rest. I'll probably ice on the bus and everything, and then just get a lot of sleep tomorrow. I mean, sleep's the number one way to recover your body. At the end of the day, treatment will do great things, but that 8 hours of sleep, that 10 hours of sleep you get is going to be really what makes your body recover. But yeah, I mean, I feel good. Season does beat up on you a little bit. I think my body's a little tired, but it doesn't feel weak. It's just more like it doesn't want it to be over because I want to win, but at the same time, it's looking forward to that little bit of rest you get in the off season. So. For sure. Yeah.
Right.
I feel good.
It's good to hear. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked a little bit about some of your recovery routines. What are some of the things? I did see a video. I want to say the Green Bay Blizzards posted something. It looks like you're in this cryo machine like thing that looks like something out of either a Terminator, and you're going to walk out all naked, all buffed, and the steam's going to come off you or something like that. So explain a little bit about some of the recovery type of techniques that you kind of go through after a game. What's some of the things you have to go through that kind of help your body stay ready?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple different things. I mean, there's a method called scraping. And what scraping does is it breaks up muscle tissue. So if you're don't scrape, you'll feel like those knots, and it'll break those knots down and stuff. That's really good. I've been getting my quad scraped actually this week because I have slight tendonitis in my knees, but it's not bad. I've had tendonitis before. It happens a lot, definitely because we play on a concrete floor. So you got to think as a lineman, we're constantly stomping on the ground. That's just shock waves, boom, 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 through your feet. So a lot of times when you get tendonitis, it stems from either your quads or you can get obviously you get shin splints. You want to scrape those shin splints. So scraping pretty much is to break up that extra tissue around because sometimes tissue will ball up. At least to my knowledge, I'm not a trainer, but to my knowledge. So I got scraped a couple of times. Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, I was just gonna say a little mild faster release, and then they hit it with the I don't know what they're called. They're like sticks, and they metal sticks, and they run up and down. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that too. And they'll rub some gel on you too, so that it helps the thing go across without scraping up your skin as well. But scraping's a great tool. I would highly suggest that if you have shin splints or you got tendonitis in your knees or something that you feel maybe one of your quads is working too much, because the other quad might have so much tissue buildup that the right quad's overcompensating. So get that scraped up, break that tissue up so you can start to get the blood back to the muscles and everything. So scraping's a great tool I've been using. I use the ice bath at Aurora. So the cryo thing that I actually used was at the gym that we get a free membership to here in Green Bay. It's called the Western Racket Fitness. It's a very nice gym, probably the nicest gym that I've ever actually been a part of. And they have a cryo thing in there. And I had never done cryo actually until last week. And cryo essentially is 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes in super cold temperatures. I'm pretty sure it gets to negative 300 degrees maybe or something like that. And you sit in there for 3 minutes and then you get out. And to be honest, your body feels good right away. It's just like an ice bath. When you get out of an ice bath, your body feels pretty well recovered. But cryo, I personally like cryo more because getting in the cold water right away is not my most favorite thing, but the cryo kind of slowly builds you up to that cold, and then you just have 3 minutes. Whereas if you sit in an ice bath, you're in there for 8 to 10 minutes. So I utilize both. So I utilize the ice bath, and then I utilize the cryo thing. I did cryo once this week. My buddy Dre, who plays receiver on this team, actually works over at Western, and he gets us in. Definitely utilize that if you got it. Cryo is expensive though. We have a blessing to have Western that allows us to do it for free, but cryo is a very expensive tool. It's just expensive. Like I know LeBron James, there was this thing that came out a while ago, and LeBron James spends like roughly around, I think, almost $1 million on his body. Maybe not quite that much, but it's up in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think a lot of that stems from like the fact that he has like a cryo chamber in his house and crap like that. Like those things are expensive, but they're very useful. So I utilize those, and then just like pressure releases. Like today, Emily, one of our assistant trainers, she adjusted my hips, got those aligned, and all that. Just keeping my body as like well balanced as possible, because what happens a lot of times is people will get imbalances, and when you get imbalances, that means something in your body is going to be overcompensating for that imbalance, which puts that at a higher risk factor of being injured, because now it's like let's say like your left quad starts going to overuse your right quad. Well, that right quad muscle might not be strong enough to take 75% of you stomping on the ground because your left quad can't handle it.
I lost you guys.
Or it's going to get strained or something. So it's really important to try to keep your body as balanced as possible. So when I go into the training room, a lot of times that's like my goal is to be like, oh, this is like feeling a little bad, or this is feeling a little bad. And then Burke and the assistant trainers do a good job of like getting us lined up and even putting us through like, tomorrow you need to show up and do this, and tomorrow you need to show up and do this. So I would definitely say for every athlete who's, doing sports, especially at a high level. I mean, I went through football for a long time. You can ask my trainers in college. I didn't go to the training room. I was that guy I was that guy who would come in with an injury one day.
You lose you, Andrew?
You there?
Yeah, I got kicked out. I'm still here. I can still hear you. I can't see you, though.
Okay, yeah, heck yeah.
Kinda.
But I used to go to the trainers at Carroll, and I'd show up for like one day, and they would tell me what to do, and then I wouldn't show up anymore, because I was one of those dudes who was like, well, if you're going to tell me to ice and do these stretches, like I don't have to come to the training room to do that. I can do that at my house or whatever. And the other reason was because I had this mindset that my body was a fortress, and as long as I didn't think it was hurt, it wasn't hurt. And that carried me through for a long time. But the problem is as we get older, your joints and your muscles and all that, you got to start taking care of those things, because you're not going to be young forever. So like I said, as a young buck, I was able to make it through my whole college career without ever really getting a serious injury or going to the training room. But as I get older, I realize how important it is to take care of your body. So for every athlete, young and old, I would say definitely prioritize that. Like, even if you're young, your body it may not be injured. You may still be able to play at a high level, but just think about like how much better your body's going to feel if you take care of it now than if you like get to where you're 25, 30 and you're like, dang, I wish I would have, like, for example, my finger. So right here, I hurt this thing. I didn't take care of it. And now I'm 25 years old and I'll have a permanently bent finger, right? If I would have took care of that when it happened, it may not have been permanently bent. Now, I'm not saying that this finger is inhibiting me from anything, because I can still make a fist. I had stretched the tendons out, did what I had to do to make a fist. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have a bent finger for the rest of my life because I didn't take care of myself, right? So for every young athlete, I'm just telling you, like, going to the training room isn't weak. It doesn't make you a pussy, quote unquote, any of that. It's actually very important, and I would highly suggest that you take that shit seriously, because at the end of the day, like, your body is what you're using to play the sport. So if your body doesn't work anymore, well, you can't play the sport anymore. Unfortunately, you're not going to be on that team anymore, right? So the better you take care of your body, the more useful and beneficial you are to the team, because they know that you're always going to be ready to go. So I would just say, like, definitely take that training room seriously. And even if you don't have the resources necessarily that I have up here, like let's say you don't have a cryo chamber, or you don't have an ice tub, like there's still ways to do treatment, stretching, making sure your body's aligned, getting your hips aligned, seeing chiropractors, getting your neck adjusted, doing rehab and prehab in the gym with your tendons and joints and all that. Like, tons of stuff you can do, band work. At the end of the day, prehab is better than rehab. If you can prehab your body, you don't get hurt, but rehab is after you've been hurt. A lot of times, I mean, unless it's a freak accident, rehab happens because they weren't taking care of their body. So, and I still obviously am still working on that. I'm not the best person ever in the training room. I'm definitely getting better as I get older and, like, going more through this season. I've been showing up to the training room more and more and more, just to keep my body as healthy as possible, because I have begun to realize that prehab is better than rehab. Like, I'm getting older, my body isn't just superhuman anymore. It can't just heal its joints right away, or it can't just like run through walls and be okay. Like, I run through a couple walls. It's like, all right, my shoulders are sore. I got to go ice these suckers or something, you know? So it's the way it goes. But at the end of the day, I'm not also saying that I can't play a whole season and continue to play at a high level even without the training room. It's just that training room is going to help me stay that much better because my body's always going to feel, great. I'm never going to have like, my ankle kind of hurts. Like one season in Carroll, actually, I played the entire season with the fractured ankle. Fractured it before the first game, and I played the entire season with a fractured ankle. I had it taped and an ankle brace on that sucker, and I played the whole season. And my ankle flexibility is good on my left side, but it's just not quite as good as my right side, just because I played the whole season with it, you know. And it's not that like I still have very good ankle flexibility and all that, but my right ankle is like super flexible, and my left ankle is just really flexible. You know what I'm saying? So it's just slightly a little less because of that. So I would just say take priority, take care of your body. That's the most important.
Yeah,
And I can
and
tell you this, I know from my
I
time
think
at Boise State, the the training room was like the temple, man, because paraffin wax, and then we had a hot tub and a cold tub right next to it. There's battleships and rubber duckies in there, and there's these full-grown giant human beings that's in there
Oh yeah,
hanging out with everybody just chilling. Or we'd go down, if we couldn't get in the training room, we'd just go across the park there and hit the Boise River and just go sit in the river and
yeah,
just be like cold water. So, but definitely it made a difference in like recovery time.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
and I think that comes
Sorry,
down, no, you guys are fine. This that also bring, the idea of being honest with yourself, make sure you're being upfront with your trainer and all of that, because that's why they're there. They're there to help you. And I think that, you know, that's something else that I think at the lower levels doesn't get taught enough, is like how to properly get you ready, get your body right. And we typical practices, you have warm ups or base stretching, more, that's even the evolution of stretching has changed, where it's not stationary anymore. You're more, moving around more, doing your stretching, stuff like that. And then, then it, what a lot of times it doesn't happen. I've seen it happen at some places, and some places don't do it, where you have cool downs where you're using your time to kind of break, at the end of the day, at the end of the practice, get in a position to, do more stationary stretches where you're kind of stretching everything out, because we, at the high school level, middle school level, whatever, you don't really have an option of going into a cool tub or something like that. That's something you got to do at home. And that education and stuff, I think, kind of lacks in that sense. That I think that's something that for any youth in any sport, being able to be educated on how to kind of do that kind of stuff is important.
For sure. And one thing I will say is, I mean, it really just depends on where you are in terms of your middle school and your high school. Because if you're playing at, let's say, Prosper, Texas, I had a buddy who played at Prosper. I played at Carroll with him, and he was one of the best running backs actually ever played at Prosper. I'm pretty sure he has a mural of him painted up on the wall. Crazy. Prosper is a 6A school in Texas who sends tons of dudes to D1, tons of dudes to the NFL. Dak Prescott and Zeke, when they were training in Dallas Cowboys, K9 used to tell me about stories of them going over to train at Prosper's gym because it was that nice, right? So the thing is in certain areas, football is held higher than in other areas. So for Idaho example, like football is held high. Like I love football. I know people in Idaho who love football just as much as the next person, right? But that doesn't mean everyone around the state loves football as much as the next person. So these kids aren't necessarily having the type of money given to them to be like able to have ice baths or able to do this. But at schools like Prosper, Texas is obviously a big football state. So by 7th, 8th grade, even up to their high school, these kids are getting taken care of. They probably got the ice baths, they probably got all that treatment stuff, which is great. I'm not hating on that. That's amazing. But yeah, it just really depends where you are. But at the end of the day, just because you don't have that stuff, like Coach Huddy said, it doesn't mean you can't take care of your body. So like Coach mentioned, like they don't have ice baths, but they'd have to do that stuff at home. I mean, you can easily just turn on the cold water. It may not be cold as with ice in it, but that's going to be cold enough to do something to your body. Like at the end of the day, like no one wants to sit in cold water because it's cold, right? So if it's cold, it's going to get those muscles, I'm not exactly sure what the cold does to the muscles or whatever. I'm not with the science or whatever. But I do know that it works. I can attest to the fact that I have done it, and it does personally work. So at the end of the day, like a message I guess I would say to the youth is yes, there are kids who are going to have these benefits for sure, based on where they're at, based on where they're from, based on what school they go to. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily, better than you or at a better place, because if you take care of your body and you take that stuff seriously, you can do damn near everything you need to do to prehab yourself. Like I said, you got bands, like you can go buy a resistance band for 15, $20, and that resistance band will last you probably damn near a lifetime. I've had my resistance band for 8 years. I've been using the shit out of that thing, and I still have it for 8 years. So you can do a lot of that stuff, like to rehab those joints and get everything ready. Like at the end of the day, a lot of times people get injured because of lactic acid buildup for sure. That's what makes you stiff. And then the other reason is, like what we're talking about, like tissue buildup or overcompensating because you have something hurt. You're not taking the right like steps to like rehab that tendon and get that tendonitis out of there. So your right knee isn't getting tendonitis because it's not overcompensating. So at the end of the day, like I said, like there are going to be some kids in some middle schools who have it better, but you just got to take it seriously. Like if you want to make it, you got to understand like your body is going to be what they look at. When you go to college, they ask you, have you been injured? Have you had serious injuries? Like when I went to college, I was filling out papers like every injury you've ever had. Now I was lucky enough to say none, 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 because through high school I made it through. I've never missed a game of football. I've never had a serious injury to keep me out of the game. But there's been guys like Stan Funkhauser, for example. I remember that play he's ran down on kickoff, just sprinting down there, boom, pops his ACL. And it's like, that the college wants to know about that. And Sam did what he had to do. He rehabbed it. He ended up going to go play D1 for a while, and then I think he got out and went to the Navy or whatever he ended up doing. I hope everything's good with him. But at the end of the day, like Sam took it seriously. Like he tore that ACL and he realized like I have to get this repaired. But at the end of the day, he still had to write that down on that piece of paper. So going into college, they knew he had a tore ACL. And that's at college. I had just found out the other day. I had no idea about this. Just about 3 weeks ago. When you go to the NFL, the CFL, or the UFL, they do a physical on you. And this isn't just a physical where they, check like, oh, let me like check your body, your shoulder.
No, they're checking everything. I've heard about this. Yeah, they're checking.
Body MRI.
It's a full body. Yep. Yeah.
And if they think you have an injury to where you can't play, they won't pick you up. So it's like rehab and taking care of your body becomes even more important, because you got to prove to these NFL people, like, my body may be a little beat up, but it's not injured, right? So, like, for example, like my thumbs. Like these thumbs, yeah, there is torn tendons in there, but for example, I was still able to shrug 585 for 4 sets of 12 yesterday because I wanted to test if my grip was strong. And the doctor kept saying, like, I'm going to lose grip strength because of my thumbs. But at the end of the day, like, these things are still strong. I can still put the pause on people. So it's like, yeah, it may look bad, but they still work because I'm taking the right steps. Like I wear a splint on this thumb to where I can't even move it in the games. It's just a hard splint. I actually have it.
Real quick, do you know how he just oh, that's there's your splint.
Your thumb really can't move. So my thumb isn't getting any more injured. I've been wearing this since week 3 of this season. And stuff like that, like I could have easily been out there and just been like, oh, I'm gonna thug it out. Pain's pain. I don't shy away from pain. I'm not worried about pain. Pain doesn't bug me. But at the end of the day, like I could have done that, and then my thumb gets really messed up, and now I have a thumb that doesn't work anymore. Or I can go get a splint and take care of my thumb for the whole season so that my thumb still works after the season, so I can show the NFL and scouts guys like, yeah, it may look bad, but this thing still works, right? But if I sat there and just abused it over and over and over and over and over and over, even if pain isn't the problem is, well, what if my thumb doesn't work anymore? Well, now they're going to see that and be like, well, you can't use your thumb. Can you even block people? Can you grab them? You know what I'm saying? So it's like going to college, it's serious to take care of your body. But if you want to get to the next level, the professional level where you're going to be getting paid, you got to take care of your body even more than you do in high school. And that's where the benefit of going to like bigger colleges would be. I mean, I love where I went to college and all that, but we had ice baths and stuff like that. But I'm going to be honest, we didn't have the same amount of treatment as some of these other schools have, or maybe even the same amount of knowledge as some of these other schools had. But that doesn't mean you can't take care of your body. If you want to take care of your body, you can do the research. You can put the time in to figure out what you got to do to take care of your body. And it may suck. It may be a lot of work, but at the end of the day, like how
Right.
That's pretty good stuff, man. And like Huddy said, like that's the stigma that we have to get to these younger guys, like you were talking about Andrew and Huddy, like being a pussy and going to the trainer, you get your buddies like, oh, you got to go see the trainer, but you're doing what's best for you to keep your body going so you can make it through the season, as opposed to being that guy that's like, oh, I don't need to see the trainer. And then he can't play the last couple games of the season and his team needs him, from starter to backup to special teams guy, because he was too cool to go see the trainer because labeled as, you're weak or whatever. And
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's just some of the old school mentality that we
100%.
Run into, because there's coaches, still old school coaches, that are, they're in medicine's changed, the whole, ice it, ice or whatever it was, or heat. Now, whatever you twist something, that's all changed just over the past few years, and how we treat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just being up to date on that kind of stuff, when at Hagerman last year, one of our players, the parents works as a physical therapist. So he came in and kind of gave us updated version of how to treat sprains, because the stuff they had up there, that stuff's outdated, and that stuff, I thought was relatively new, but no, it's how you approach sprains is completely different. So just that education that needs to go, not just the players, but the coaches too. So these kids can be relatively healthy at the end of whenever they get done playing their sport. So yeah. Real quick, did you notice T how he just kind of threw around 585 like it was just no big deal?
Yeah, I just grabbed it, and because it was there, just kind of grabbed the car, and I picked the car up because it was there. Shrugged it a couple times. I was like, "Yeah, my thumbs are good. Oh, we're all right.
We're all right.
No big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal." So,
yeah.
All right, man, we're going to kind of move on with some of these questions here. Let's talk about your pregame ritual. What is some stuff that you do to get yourself ready before the game? I mean, everybody's different. You even posted something with one of your teammates, one of you guys in the line, how he, one of you were sleeping, and the other one, like, how they, somebody's doing yoga or something, or somebody's just, your playlist, let's think about that. My playlist when I was younger was like Metallica and Guns N' Roses. That's why I listened to, because for me, it's like heavy metal got me going, gets my blood going, but, everybody's a little bit different. Some people are listening to the Carpenters, to get ready. So it's just kind of, everybody's a little bit different. So what are some of the things you do to kind of get yourself ready pregame?
Yeah, for sure. So real quick to relay back on that picture. So Jake Parks is an O-lineman who plays up. He's a right guard. Jake Parks played for UC Davis. I actually played against him my last year at Weber State. And then Jake went and played in Norway, I believe, last year. And that was in the indoor league. So he hasn't gotten his chance in the NFL or anything. But real quick about that dude can really play football. Like, he might be the best lineman I've ever played with in my life. He's just smart. He's physical. He shows up every day. He puts a lot of work in. But the thing about Jake is he's about the truest O-lineman I have ever met in my life. Like, he doesn't try to do nothing athletic in the sense of, like, he doesn't try to catch footballs. He doesn't try to run routes. He doesn't try to do none of that. He has his whole pregame warm-up where it's just lineman stretches, and it's just like, it's cool to see because he's a true O-lineman. I'm out there, my pregame, what I do for pregame, I don't stretch at all. I grab a football and I just throw bombs and run routes and catch this rock, like, with receiver gloves on. I'm not kidding. Like, I don't warm up. I take a 30-minute nap before almost every game. Like, I do things a little different, but at the end of the day, that's what I was saying in the picture. Like, he's stretching and I'm sleeping, but when we wake up, we're on the same type of time. Like, it's just, let's go get on these boys' ass and let's go win this game, So some of my pregame rituals, I would say, is like, I like to take a nap. I take like a 30-minute nap, power nap before the game, just put my music on, lay down if I can, and then I'll get up and I'll throw the rock around with a couple of the boys. Someone will just grab the ball and we'll just start throwing bombs, full 50-yard field bombs. Like, honestly, I'm running the routes, I'm catching them over the wall, catching them one-handed, whatever I can do. The reason I do that is, it seems crazy, but it gets my blood flowing. I start to sweat. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours for the game. I start to sweat, my blood gets going, and I'm ready to go at that point. I lock in, I'm listening to music, I'm just vibing, having a good time. And then what I'll do is I'll go start to get my pants on, get my knee brace on, get my shoes on, all that, and I'm just listening to music. A lot of time my music, so I'm like one of those people that on my playlist I have like 3,100 songs, so I listen to a lot of different kinds of music, and it really just depends on what I'm relating to on that day, for real. So, like, some days maybe I'm in this mood, some days I'm in that mood. It don't matter. It's really just the words that are, hitting at that time to get me ready to go. At the end of the day, hurt someone on the field, because that's what we got to do as a lineman. You got to be physical all the time. Like, you're not necessarily trying to hurt someone, but if they get hurt, it's get them off my field. Like, they can't handle the heat, get them out of the kitchen, right? It's just how you got to be. It's the mentality. So, listen to music, get right. And I remember this last game, I had a couple things in particular, like just kind of irritating me. Not irritating me, but like things that I was thinking about. And I remember like we do this circle at the end of warm-ups where we go around the whole when we're home, we go around the whole arena and we, give people high fives. And I was giving them all high fives, but I didn't smile. I didn't say a word. I didn't just straight face the whole time. And I get to the end of the line and Coach Rugg goes cold. I like that. And I went out there and I probably had the best game of my life. So, well, one of the best games, definitely of this season, I would say. So I would just say like, I don't do anything crazy like some people. For example, my roommate Bo, he has his own things he does, but one of the things he does is he eats oranges whole, the peel and all. He'll just eat them things, and he'll just kind of go to the corner and eat his oranges, and then come back to his locker and get ready to go. And he's a beast, man. He's a beast, like an absolute dog. He played for the Falcons for a little bit. He played at Fair State. He's a dog. So like everyone has their own thing. I can expose some other things, but one of these guys on our team, before the game, he takes a piss in the shower. That's his pregame ritual. He does it every game. He takes a piss in the shower. I don't know why. Don't know. Don't ask questions. It's just do whatever you got to do to get ready. For me, it's pretty straightforward. I pretty much just take my nap, get up, get the blood flowing, listen to music, and like I said, get ready to go out there and do my job as physically and as violent as I can.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
it.
So
I would say I'm with Huddy. Like I was like a Metallica one, Enter Sandman, some AC/DC, obviously some Tupac and some Snoop was in there.
For sure.
Later on, you know what I'm saying? Just something to get me going. And then like, there was dudes that they had some different rituals. Like there was guys that would break smelling salts and like walk around the locker room like, you ready to go? And just snapping like, yeah, let's go. And I'm just like, bro, I'm on your team. Calm down. We're good. We're good. It's all good.
That's
But
so real.
everybody has their thing. You know what I'm saying? Dudes did some wacky stuff, and but they were
Yeah.
ready to go.
At the end of the day, like I said, everyone has their own way. Like as long as you show up on that field the same type of time as the guy who's by you is on, it don't matter. Like I said, like Jake's out there and he's taking that shit serious, like getting his body stretched up, getting warmed up, doing past sets and all that. And I'm out there looking like I'm just messing around, just absolutely not taking it seriously. But what they don't know is like that's my way. That's my way to get shit, like get my blood going and stuff. And it's just like I said, like everyone's different, but as long as before that first whistle blows, everyone has to be on the same type of time. So for this Tulsa game, for example, which I know will probably be the next topic, before that game, it was a quiet locker room. Not a lot of music going on. We usually like people laughing, stuff like that. But it was a quiet locker room. Everyone was just really focused. And when we walked out that locker room to go and do our introductions, like you can just tell like we're gonna go and beat these boys. Like everyone was on at the same type of time. Like we don't lose today. Like and we were talking about it all week. Like the game's only close if we make it close. At the end of the day, the game's only close if we make it close. So everyone had their own thing. I mean, I don't know what everyone does on our team. Some guys sit up in the stands and just sit there and listen to music and just watch the other people warming up for real. Like a couple of our guys do that. So, do whatever you got to do. But when it comes that time, when the first whistle blows, you better be ready to go hit someone in the mouth. If you're not ready to go hit someone in the mouth, then you gotta figure out a way to get yourself ready to do that.
So yeah, let's kind of go on that a little bit more. So you guys, your pregame as a team, you said, was it so being a playoff game? Did you guys approach this a little bit differently than you had your regular season games? I mean, obviously everybody's got their routine, but was there? I mean, obviously it's a different feel. Playoff game is just a whole other level. I don't care what level you're at, whether high school, whatever. It's a different feeling. So what was that like? One thing you brought up was locker room was quiet and it's like everybody molded together and we're just locked in, and that showed on the game. And we'll talk about the game itself here in a second, but what was there anything else that was different or felt different walking in that locker room before the game or stepping in that arena for this playoff game versus the regular season?
Yeah, that's a good question. For the approach wise, like really we just approached it like another football game. We played Tulsa twice this year already. We beat them and then they kicked our ass down in Tulsa, and then we obviously kicked their butt down in Green Bay again. So we already knew what they were gonna do. We knew the players we're gonna be playing against, and all that. And at the end of the day, we just took practice really seriously. A lot of the times, the games we fell short or whatever, like you can just kind of tell the week of practice, like it wasn't taken as seriously. But this week, like last week, and even this week leading up to Quad City, like we've taken practice seriously. Like, we're ready to go. You know, we're locked in. People are asking questions, getting the motions right. If there was a mistake in practice, we're like saying, no, like, we want it again. Like, run that play back. Like, we want to get it right. So I would just say, like, the biggest difference in the team leading up to that last game was intentionality. We were more intentional with what we were doing. It wasn't like, oh, show up to practice, get us over with, get home. You know, it was show up to practice, get better so we can win this football game, get home, go to treatment. There was tons of guys showing up to treatment, more than usual, you know, trying to get that body right for the game. So, and even this week it's been the same. So I would just say, yeah, the biggest difference wouldn't have been necessarily how we approached the game. It would have just been like our intentionality throughout the week. And then when we got there, I think the reason it was so quiet is because everyone was just focused on, like, when I get out there, just do my job. You know, do my 1/8, do my 1/8 every play. If I win my rep and the play goes south, you know what? You did your 1/8. You know, let's say I did my 1/8, Max throws a interception. I'm gonna go tackle that motherfucker. Like, I ain't gonna think about the play. I'm gonna go, well, this play's not over. I gotta make the tackle right. So it's like my 1/8 would be to block, and it wasn't my mistake that Max threw an interception, but now I'm trying to make his mistake better by doing my 1/8 as best as I can. If that guy runs into my zone, I'm gonna tackle him, right? So it's like, even if we make a mistake, like, next play, it's like, do your 1/8. Like, if you win your 1-on-1, win the next rep. Like, or if you lose a rep, your 1-on-1, you know, the next 1-on-1 you have, win it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's football. At the end of the day, there was a lesson I was taught by Jared McDonald's dad, Fred McDonald, I think is his name, I believe. I haven't talked to that man in forever, but he told me, he says, it's not about the battle, it's about the war. In war, all the time, people win a battle, but that doesn't necessarily mean they win the war. Who wins the war is the one who consistently wins battles over and over and over and over and over and over. So at the end of the day, like, if I lose a rep, I just reset and go right back to it because I'm like, this isn't a battle, this is a war. And you're going to have to deal with me all day. So it's like, I'm going to beat you more than you're going to beat me. And at the end of the day, we're going to win the game, you know? So I think that's a big mindset to have. Like, don't get so caught up on one rep. Like, everyone's going to have that one play, and leading up to film, you're like, oh, I don't want to watch that play. And as soon as that play hits, you're going to be like this in the back. You don't want to watch it. You already know it's terrible. But how do you respond from that rep? Are you going to go get your ass kicked again, or are you going to go beat their ass the next play, right? And one thing that Coach Springer taught me at Carroll College, he was my coach my last 2 years at Carroll, and he taught me, it was the year he actually brought me in, and this was before the All-Americans came out, and he was like, you can really get All-American next year. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, shit, I think I might get it this year. I ended up digging it. But that's not the point. The point is he brought up the point, you know, one thing I really like about you is, like, he showed me this play from SOU and I got beat. Like, I got a sack. The next play, I locked this dude up on a pass pro and I take him 10 yards down the field, just drive him down the field. And he's like, this is what I like to see because you got your ass beat, but then you came back and you got on him. You know, it wasn't like you're like, oh, I got beat, now let me get beat again. It was like, no, you just responded right back. So, and that's extremely important when you play offensive line, because offensive line is a frustrating position because the only stat you can get is a stat that's against yourself, and it's a sack, right? Sacks allowed. So it's like, pancakes are cool, but pancakes aren't a real stat. Pancakes are more just like a stat that we have personally. But the only stat you can get is a stat against yourself. That's frustrating when it's like, you know, you're doing good, and then you let up a sack, and everyone's like, oh, you had 69 good pass pros, but you let up a sack. You suck, right? Like, you let up that one sack and lost your game. It's like, it's a frustrating position. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that it's a frustrating position. You have to be able to completely wipe out the rep before. Even if you completely dominated someone the rep before, that doesn't mean you're going to dominate them this rep. You got to come with the same mentality you had that last rep. Like, I beat your ass last play, but I got to make sure I beat your ass this play too, right? And that's crucial as an O-lineman. Like, I played with so many O-linemen who are so talented, but their head is their biggest weakness. They cannot. When they start to lose, it just cataclysms into more losses and more losses and more losses. And eventually you have to take them to the side and be like, look, man, I just need you to log in. Like, I trust you. I know you can play the game of football. So just play the game of football. Stop getting in your own head like you're a good football player. And a lot of times when you do that for them, they'll reset and they will start to play better. But it's like, to be able to do that for yourself in a second span, you know, as soon as that plays over, like, bang, I'm already into the next play. I'm not even worried about what I just did. Like, you know, you're laughing, you're joking, boom. As soon as that huddle hits, you're ready to go. That is a skill that is so important for O-linemen. And it's a skill that's hard to develop because, like I said, O-line is a frustrating position. You know, it is just like, I love it, but at times it's like, this shit is frustrating because, like, you're kicking ass. And maybe, like, the game isn't going the way you want. And as far as they're concerned, it's like, the O-line sucks, they can't run the football. Well, literally, they know you're taking your guy 5 yards and just dumping him every play. But it's like you need 5 guys to make a fist. You can't make a fist with one guy, right? So it's just like it's not frustrating because of that reason. It's just frustrating because it's like there's a lot of noise when it comes to playing O-line. You got to understand, not everyone understands the position that you're playing. For as most people think, I remember when I was a young kid, someone said, just eat and get fat and you'll be a good O-lineman. And I remember like that blew my mind because I was like, I'm not going to be a fat O-lineman. I want to be an O-lineman who's big and in shape and who can move and who can hurt people and move around and do all that. But that just shows you like the lack of knowledge they have as O-linemen. Like these NFL O-linemen are not just big fat dudes. A lot of these dudes are jumping up and dunking basketballs and crap at 330.
They're athletic.
Like these are freak athletes. Like these dudes are way more athletic than 90% of the human population, right? So it's like the whole mindset around O-line is just frustrating because they just don't. You gotta understand, people aren't gonna understand what you're doing. But the team, when you're a good O-lineman, your team will let you know you're a good O-lineman, and that's how you know you're doing what you're supposed to do. Because it's like they know.
So I got a term. I do want you to maybe you can pass this on to your teammates, especially when we're talking about, moving on. Goldfish. You ever heard that term before?
I have.
Ted Lasso coming out here. So, all right, Ted Lasso moment. Okay. Who's the happiest? What's the happiest animal in the world? Goldfish. Why? Because they got a 10-second memory. So that's the mentality. And that goes for any sport. That goes, softball, baseball, whatever, because failures, it happens. But it's how you respond to that failure. And in football, what you got, you got 20, 30 seconds in between plays. You got a few seconds there. Okay, I screwed up. Time to move on. And what's great about football is you can take your aggression out on that guy as long as you keep a cool head. Or you can go out and next play go smash that guy in the face. So you have a healthy way of getting that frustration out. So goldfish. Is something I've used. This year coaching a bunch of little 11, 12-year-old girls in softball. That's what we use for. When they made a mistake, be goldfish. So, yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, everything you've said is crucial, important. That's part of that mental preparation and being ready. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, just being able to be at your best every rep is what's most important, right? That's just what it is.
And the game. And I've got to watch all your games this year, and this game itself, this game you guys played, Lord have mercy. That was the best all 3-phase game I've seen you guys play all year.
Absolutely.
The defense, I don't know what the hell happened. There was another switch that went off, and that defense went off. At a whole other level. And maybe it's the playoff atmosphere, and they figured they had to kick in another gear. But I saw guys on the defensive side, the D line all the way back to the DBs, they were flying to their spots, and it showed. I mean, gosh, 4 picks, and you guys were. He was harassing. Fumble recovery, all kinds of stuff. So, and then even on the kick coverage was lights out. I mean, guys are flying down the field, staying in their lanes. I mean, really, I think they had maybe one decent return. So
yeah, I think the farthest return they got was to the 17, which is still less than if you got it back at the end zone, they get at the 20. So it's like,
yeah,
I think 3 or 4 times we got them inside the 5 or at the 5, which is crazy because that means that offense has to drive the whole field. I mean, I never want to go out on offense and be like, well, I do. I don't care where we start. At the end of the day, we just got to get to the end zone, right? But at the same time, like every drive you're starting at the 5-yard line, like as an offense, that sucks, right? Like being able to start at the 25-yard line is a blessing when you're starting at the 5-yard line every time. So yeah, for sure, I would say we dominated on all 3 phases of the game, and that's why we beat them like we did.
Yeah, you guys were harassing their quarterback all night, man. Like that guy, he had no time. Guys were all over his ankles, around the ball all the time. And then offensively too, you guys were just like manhandling. So I saw you got a hold, right? Another BS hold call on you, Andrew. Is that what happened?
And by the way,
first 2 plays of the game, I pancaked the nose guard, and the second play they gave me a holding, which I'm not gonna lie, it may have been a little bit, but it was like I've seen a lot worse holdings, and that hasn't been called. And I didn't say I got called for a hold. I didn't give a crap because I was like, we're gonna score this thing anyways. Push us back 10 yards. What's the matter? We're gonna score this thing. And then the third play, my right guard gets a pancake. The fourth play, my left guard gets a pancake, and it's like that first drive, we really went out there as a line and said like, we're going to show you what you're going to have to deal with all game. Our running back went out there, started breaking 3-4 tackles a run. Our receivers were just destroying these DBs. It was just like, no matter what happened in that game, we knew we were going to score every drive because you put us in 3rd and 25. We're going to throw a bomb. All right, our receiver's going to catch it. We're going to pass pro. Our receiver's going to catch it, right? And that's not saying that we didn't have reps individually where, like, I had reps where I got beat on, for sure. It happens. It's football. But at the end of the day, like, it was just the physicality and intentionality that we went out there with that was the biggest difference. Like, they just knew that they're going to have to deal with the highest scoring offense in the league at the fullest potential we're at all game. That's just what it was.
And it was, it was great seeing that. And man, the energy and everything, you guys can carry that into Saturday's game. Man, that'll be something beautiful. The atmosphere, because playoff atmosphere is different. I think the crowd size was pretty good for you guys. I know they were promoting the hell out of it, selling tickets for $7, $10 to get to the game. So, I mean, it was really a bargain. So I think they did a pretty good job, on the business end, trying to get people there. Did the atmosphere feel, outside of knowing that it was a playoff game and stuff like that, and how did the energy from the crowd, how'd that feel? Did it feel like it was a little different than normal? Or, because it seems like they had a decent, it seems like you got a decent fan base, which is nice.
Yeah.
But did it seem a little bit different being a playoff game, like the crowd was, or was it about the same energy?
So there was definitely more people there. I will say there was more people there, which was cool to look up at the stands and be like, oh, dang, this thing's really filled up tonight. But as far as like, our fans always bring a lot of energy when it's time to play a football game. There's always those, like, the same fans sit in the front rows every game, like front 2-3 rows. Like, you're looking around, you're like, oh, I seen that person last week, that person last week, that person last week. Like, this person's been here all year. So I would say, like, in terms is like, the energy towards the players, like, it felt the same. But just seeing that arena filled up and, knowing that all those people want to watch you win, I guess that is some motivation in itself for sure. But I tend to not even try to focus on the crowd until I get going in the game because, before the game, I'm really just trying to be like, I got to flip a switch. Like, people don't understand this. Like, when it comes to football, like, you got to flip a switch, and it takes time to figure out how to flip that switch. And everyone has a different trigger to flip that switch, right? Some people need their teammates to talk shit to them. Some people need the coach to get on their ass. Some people can do it themselves. And for a while, I was like one of those players where, like, I needed the coach to get on my ass to flip that switch, like, for real. And then, I was obviously still out there trying to pancake people and do all that. But, like, when the coach would get on my ass, then it was like, all right, like, I was pissed off. I'm ready to hurt someone now. But I realized that isn't good because I'm relying on someone else to flip that switch. I never liked that. So I learned how to flip the switch myself. So I tend to not focus on the crowd before the game because I'm the whole time, all the way leading up, like I said, until the first whistle, I am trying to flip this switch. Like, sometimes it doesn't happen 30 seconds before the game. Sometimes it happens 30 minutes before the game. Sometimes it happens 4 hours before the game, right? Like, it really just depends on that day and where I'm at on that day. But at the end of the day, I always make sure that before I step on that field, like, I am where I need to be mentally to go and do what I need to do. And then as the game gets going, I become a performer. Everyone becomes a performer. At the end of the day, when you're a football player, you're performing. These people are buying seats to come and watch you play. So then that's when I start to immerse myself in the crowd because that shit makes me turn up. Like, when I look at the crowd and the crowd's flexing because you just pancaked someone and they're yelling your name and shit, like, that shit gets me turned up. Like, I'm ready to go do that shit again. Like, that's fun, So I feel like that's when I tend to immerse myself in the crowd more, is like in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle. But before the game, I just try to really just lock in on, just focus on yourself and the team too. I guess that's always the most important. The team's more important than yourself always, but by focusing on yourself, you're focusing on the team because you're going to make sure you do your job for the team.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, another thing you talked about, you kind of alluded to this last week, was the running game. And I saw that come out more in that game. And it's that balanced approach. I've always thought, a balanced approach really helps if you can pound that ball, and you guys are gashing them with the run game. Obviously the passing plays came, the big plays came, but that is a consistent established run game, I think, was huge. And, I'm hoping that's, don't tell me anything or need to tell us anything, but I'm sure that's hopefully part of the game plan going into this week. So going into Quad City, you guys been there. This is the. Did you guys play each other 3 times in regular season or just twice?
We played each other 3 times. We beat them twice. They beat us the first game of the season. We beat them at home, and then we beat them the 3rd time at their place. So we're 2-1 against them right now. Yep. Quad City's a good team. They got a lot of good players. Their nose guard apparently is the best defensive player in. So it'll be best against best.
Hey, we'll see how it goes. Hey, I can tell you got a fan. There's so all the social media stuff that's out there, and don't obviously never pay attention to that, but it was kind of funny. I was looking at it. The IFL putting out the game reports. What's going on in the game, like pre-game stuff, and then same thing. The Green Bay Blizzard stuff comes out because they have their own social stuff, and then there's this one guy, and he's been on 2 different posts, and he keeps bringing you up. And I clicked on his profile, and he must be a season ticket holder for Quad City because he was out in front and he has playoff, like towel and stuff like that. But just saying, hey, just waiting for 78 to hold or something like that, or a holding calls, already. And so yeah, and I'm just I don't respond. I'm like, dude, this guy's only had like 4 holding calls called him all year. And I know at least 2 of them seen on film weren't that, but I mean, I kind of laugh that off, but I'm just kind of like, I should see if you can find them.
No. You know what's funny is I think I know who you're talking about, Coach. So the last time we played Quad City, I had a game I had like 6 pancakes the whole time. The whole stands are looking at me like, you're holding, blah, blah, blah. The nose guard literally tells people that I went against here at Green Bay every day that he hates me. Like, he genuinely hates me. He does not like me. And the only reason he doesn't like me is because I finish blocks. Like, every D lineman doesn't like me because I finish blocks. Even if I'm not putting you down, you best believe I'm going to try to finish between you and the ball every time. They don't like that. Like, D linemen expect fat O linemen to stop after 4 seconds. But I ain't stopping. I'm going to finish. And it's funny because at the end of the game, there was this old man, and he pulled me over to the side. He was for Quad City, and I was like, here we go. Here we go. I thought, the shit talking's about to come. We just whoop that ass, whatever. And he pulls me to the side, and he goes, and he said something that kind of bummed me because he's like, for a smaller O lineman. But I was like, well, what do you think I weigh? He's like 270. I was like, well, I weigh 295. Like, I'm not too much smaller than what what the general guy is. It's just I hold my weight differently. I look skinny, whatever it is. But he said, for being a smaller O lineman, like, you are manhandling these boys out here. And this is the dude who supports Quad City. He's a season ticket holder for Quad City. He's like, I love watching you play.
Yeah.
And then as I was leaving, there's a bunch of other people that they were yelling at me, like, saying like, oh, all you do is hold and this and that and whatever. And I was just didn't really say anything and just kept it pushing. But, at the end of the day, we hold every play. I don't care. I'm offensive lineman. I'll tell you right now, we hold every play. It's about knowing when to let go. That's the secret. Knowing when to let go. So I'm gonna hold.
Knowing when to let go and
get pulled away. I'm gonna let go. Right. That's it. So it's like it's not holding. Yep. It just feels like holding because it is holding, but it's not holding.
Yeah, inside the frame, it goes.
They called every holding in every game, NFL, high school, college, whatever it is.
You would never get it. You would never get a game off.
No, that'd be like a yellow hanky every play.
Well, and knowing refs, and some of the refs I know, one of my buddies who refs for a lot of years, he said there is a penalty every play. There's always a foul happening in football, but did it? The thing is they always look at is like, did it disrupt the play? Was it an advantage for one person or the other? Because you're going to either have holding, maybe somebody, whatever it was, did it affect the play? And that's kind of, that's where the judgment call comes in with refs is like, did it affect the play? To me, that's how it should be, if, obviously no cheap shots or anything like that, because the safety of everybody, but if that person's on the opposite end and then you had a little bit of extra jersey for like 2 seconds or half a second, there's nothing there. That dude was not going to make a play. So that's kind of how I look at that. So anyways,
and I agree. Right. If you're holding someone on the front side of outside zone and the play goes outside, and even if you hold him for like 0.5 seconds and he could have made a tackle but you held him, of course, call that. That's a great call.
Call that.
You stop that play from being made. But like Coach is saying, if you're on the backside outside zone and you're blocking a 3-tech who weighs 360 pounds and this play is 40 yards from him and you hold him, he is not making that play, right? So it's like,
No.
if they call that hold, they're just really trying to like put you back for what I mean, to be fair, if it's a hold, it's a hold. They can call it. I ain't going to be upset about it. But at the same time, it's like, well, why are you calling that? That makes no sense because that dude has, like, even if I didn't block the guy, he probably isn't making that play, right? So
No,
I see what Huddy said. A lot of sense because refs have to obviously keep the game going. Like Coach T said, if we call a penalty every play, well, we're never finishing a game. The games will never end because there's a penalty every play, literally. Pass interference, illegal contact, holding.
Yep.
I mean, I guess those would probably be the three that happen the most, I would feel like. Maybe a block in the back or a face mask or face mask, I guess it's called when hopefully it gets called every time. There's been a couple I've seen that hasn't been called, but like I feel like it's like PI, illegal contact, and holding. Those three penalties are so common because the positions we play. And if you think about it, they all stem from a DB and offensive lineman. DB and offensive lineman are the only two positions who willingly move backwards. We do the same thing, just different. They're stopping them, we're stopping them, right? So it's like we're in the same position. They're just blocking fast guys and we're blocking big guys, right? It's the same thing. Yep. So, and then people want to be like, this and that. Well, we're probably playing two arguably of the hard. I mean, quarterback's a hard position mentally. Quarterback's a hard position, and obviously there's some technique throwing the ball and all that, but physically and like mentally, in the sense of like we go back to that 1-rep mentality. Like DB and offensive linemen have to have that 1-rep mentality. Like you may get burnt on a post and he let up a touchdown, but next play, do not get burnt on that post, right? Like you've got to have that 1-rep mentality because the position we play is just a frustrating position. Like it's like DB has a little bit more advantage, I'd say, because you can get interceptions. Like that's badass when you get interceptions. Like as a DB, if I was ever play DB and I got an interception, I'd be turned up. But I just got a pick. Let's go, right? But at the same time, like it's frustrating because like these dudes are going to catch out routes. They are going to catch curve routes. They are going to catch slant routes, and you got to tackle him. It's like he's catching, he just got to catch me for 5 yards, whatever. But you got to flush that. Like I ain't gonna let you catch the ball again. I ain't gonna let you beat me on that route again. I ain't gonna let you block me again or whatever it is. Like it's just I feel like DB and O-line has a lot of similarities. And once you start to look at football, you kind of realize like the similarities more and more. And DBs and O-linemen tend to kind of have the same mindset in a way, but DBs are more flashy in a sense of like, when they, even if the receiver drops, they're going to get up and do like their belt strap, whatever. Yeah. That's just who they are.
That's the difference between O-line though, right there in DBs. And O-line's not getting in front of the DB or the nose tackle, just like, this in front of his face, or anything like that, and it cracks me up because DB is, crazy position to play. And I think, the ones that crack me up though is like a huge overthrow. And then they're standing over there, like they did something great. And I'm just like, the guys overthrew 10 yards, fly zone. Well, obviously, so, but it obviously in offensive line, I don't think people understand pass blocking is the hardest part because you're going backwards and it's unnatural. You're to catch somebody or you have to absorb that, that person coming at you. You can't strike out at that guy necessarily because if you do that, then that's usually when you're getting up on your front side on the ground and somebody's gonna make you look silly. So, and these DNs aren't slow, and especially, you get an 11-man game when these guys are playing like a 9-tech and they got like a 2-3 yard sprint coming at you and you got to get set and try to pick that up. It's just an unnatural position to play and you don't get the glory. The only time your name gets called out is when you do something wrong. You get a hold, or a false start, or a bad snap. Or you let up a sack. Then that's when it comes. It's not, very rarely do you hear about, oh my God, look at the pancakes that are happening. And you do get some of these announcers that have been in the game and you'll see like, oh my gosh, look at that pull. Like when you were at, I think the Arizona game, the color guy brought up you pulling and the footwork like that. And I was like, I'm glad somebody noticed that. So, stuff like that gets pulled up. So there are a rare occasionally you'll see offensive line get some recognition, but most of the time it's just, but that's the part of the game. And that's what they do. And so there's nothing wrong with that.
It's the position we play.
So, yeah. Yeah.
I always explain to people too, like the O-lines. Oh, real quick. I always explain to people that the O-line's like the mafia. everyone looks to us what shit needs to get done, but no one really knows we exist, right? Like it's like, hey, we need you to go take care of this for us, but we don't want anyone to know about it, right? That's the O-line.
Yep.
Literally the mob, like we work
Exactly.
underground. Don't look at us, don't give us credit, but this whole team knows why we about to go whoop these guys' ass, right? Because you're O-line.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I was talking to some of my teammates and like, never in my life, I had a couple guys tell me this, like, never in my life have I been on a team where the O-line wasn't a problem. Like, and they were telling us, so like, we might have, like, in this team, like, the O-line is not the problem. And we don't have a problem on our team. Our team is very good. The games we lost, we just, that day, that team decided to be better than us in the arena at the end of the day. But, to have an O-line, and I've been blessed enough to play on a couple O-lines where I can say, like, man, we had 5 savages out there, like 5 dudes who it's like, you look to your right, you look to your left, you're like, all these boys can play football. But that's hard to do. Like, that's really hard to do, So that's what it is. It's like, you got to be okay with not getting credit, but still show up out there and be like, I'm a dog. And the people who needs to know that I'm a dog will know I'm a dog. But if no one else knows, I don't give me my money, right? I'm out here to get paid. I ain't out here to appease people. That's just what it is.
All right, we're going to move on a little bit so we can get you out of here because I know you got another engagement thing you got to get to. So let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit. I do want to talk about the Rattlers San Diego game because, dude, there was a lot of noise, and then in the IFL or Arena League world, this came up. So basically what happened, this was a last second game. Arizona is notorious for doing this. Actually beat Green Bay at Green Bay last seconds of the game. So this type of stuff always seems to happen. So Arizona Rattlers, established franchise, been around for a long time. Coach Guy
won the championship last year.
Around the game for a lot of years. Won the championship last year. Just to give you the context of this, it was in Arizona, and the dynamics is kind of weird. Okay, so Kevin Guy is the head coach. He's also the general manager. His assistant is like, or no, he's the president. His assistant, one of his assistant coaches, is the general manager. So 2 of the coaches are also front office guys. Kevin Guy's wife used to be Andrew's boss. She's the owner of the Tucson. So yeah. So anyway,
he owns 2 NFL teams. Kind of strange, but yes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird dynamics, but hey, whatever works. I mean, that's how they got it, and that, more power to them. But the game itself, it came down the last second. Arizona was up by 6 or something like that, and they're going down the field, and they got to play off, got within a few yards of the goal, got lined up or doing a hurry up. They were trying to get the quarterbacks, trying to get everything ready set up, and then they get the hike off. But there's controversy that they didn't get set in time because the clock had run out when they made the hike. And so the ball got snapped in time, but there was at least 3 guys that had apparently moved that weren't set yet. And so originally there was a flag, I think, tossed or something, but then it got picked up, and the guy in San Diego scored, wins the game. And it wasn't reviewable or something, how they said it, because I know what it was. Arizona had run out of challenges. They couldn't challenge it. They had already used up all their challenges, so they couldn't review it or anything like that, or it probably would have been changed. So there was a lot of pretty chaotic. The refs that they use are usually local to the area. Pretty much you have the same refs every game. Is this like that in Green Bay too, right? I think, isn't it?
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mostly. So, and you got these guys are more than likely they're college coaches that are just making some money during the off season. So anyways, so you pretty much get the same staff in that area that are probably rotating through a little bit, but it's pretty much the same staff. Well, after the game, Coach Guy went off on the refs, and they filed a formal protest in the game, and the league went over it and basically said that they realized there was a mistake, but they weren't going to change the outcome of the game. Like, they didn't want to set a precedence of like telling this team that, oh, sorry, you didn't win that game, we're giving it to this team. So Coach Guy has he made some cryptic comments like there's going to be consequences to this. I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I don't know. It's something, to me, it's a learning experience. Obviously, these refs are probably not getting paid jack crap to do it anyways. Being a ref's hard job as it is. But I think if anything, they'll probably use this as a learning experience. So I hope nothing too drastic happens out of this.
Can I elaborate
Andrew,
on that?
kind of, yeah, go ahead. I want to kind of get your take and kind of what's been going on in your guys's, your takes on this has been.
Yeah. So what happened was, it was a whole bunch of crap, like Coach said. There was a whole bunch of crap. Apparently, throughout the game, Coach Guy said the refs missed a ton of calls, this and that. There was a false start, and that's when they picked up the flag, and it was on that last drive or something like that. And what happened on that last play was they threw an out route, and there was 12 seconds on the clock. They had to get set. San Diego had no timeouts. They're on like the 3 or the 5 or something like that. And they got the snap off like Coach said. It was right. I think they got it off. There was a second, and right as that clock went to 0,
it was like half a second and went 0 as soon as that ball made movement.
And you got to think there's still milliseconds. Technically speaking, every second there's still milliseconds. So they could have snapped that ball at 0.02 milliseconds. Well, technically speaking, that's still a live ball, right? And milliseconds are instantly. I get out. People are like, well, milliseconds, all about, but it's still a thing. So they snapped it right there. So I think the snap was clean. That wasn't the problem. The problem was, is they said their stationary receiver wasn't set. So if he wasn't set, that makes it a false start, 10-second runoff, game over, right? Challenge, so they couldn't challenge, and there was no flags, so they scored, they kicked the PAT, they win the game 49-48 or something like that. Coach Guy gets into the press conference, and he's going off about the refs. He's saying they missed this call, and they missed this call, and they missed this call. Funny thing about that is I looked at the comments, and they're like, well, what about this call they missed on you guys, and this call they missed on you guys? Like, you're just acting like they just missed calls on San Diego, but they missed calls that were against you as well. 1. 2, he said, never again. These refs have been messing up all year. I'll never have a staff like this. I'll bring refs all the way from the East Coast if I have to. Like, he pretty much said, like, they'll never ref another game at the Arizona Rattlers. And then he tried to protest the game, saying that he should have won, that they should overturn it because this and that and that. And the third. The problem with that is, okay, you want to do that. Let's say the IFL does that. Well, who's to say that Fisher Freight, who's a good-ass football team who really turned on last year, they could be like, well, we protest that we're better than that team who just got beat by Green Bay. We protest that we're better than that team who just got beat by Quad City. Why are we not in the playoffs? Now you have a big shenanigan because everyone's going to be protesting everything. It's like you can't do that. Once the game hits 0 and the game's over, it's over. It is what it is. Whether the refs messed up, the only thing you can do at that point is to go back, review it. If the refs messed up that bad, fire them, right? That's all you can do. You can't take the win away from that team. Like, those are players and those are coaches who give an effort to and time to. Like, you don't think they want to win the game? You can't just take that away from them. It's not their fault. If anything, it's not anyone's fault. It's the way it goes. Like, the ref should have threw a penalty, but he didn't, man. It is what it is. Like, you know what you should have done? You should have batted the damn ball down. Don't let him catch it. Like, what do you mean? Like, your defense doesn't score.
That, or don't put yourself in that situation in the first place. Win the game handily. But I mean, that's all. This is, hearsay and everything like that. The Monday morning quarterback, or we're gonna call it. So, but it was kind of like, come on. I mean, emotions get high. Get high, and I get it. And I would not want to do an interview after a game, especially after something like that, and have to be professional about it, because obviously you get high emotions and stuff like that. But when you're in this position as a coach, you air your grievances, then it should be, that's it, and they did make a formal complaint. I think they did everything they could do. But I think the league itself did what they were supposed to and say, yeah, we messed up. That's still not going to change the outcome, because that would, like you said, would open everything up.
Exactly. And it's not like the league messed up. Like, it's the game of football. Like, you got to think the ref is also a human being. And as a human being, even if I try to be absolutely perfect, I can't be. I'm going to miss things. I'm going to mess things up. I'm going to forget things. I'm going to whatever, right? There's only been one perfect man, in my opinion. That's Jesus, right? And none of us compare to him. So it's like, you're expecting this ref to make perfect calls all the way through the game. Like, he missed the call, man. It is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, you know how you stop that from happening? Like Coach said, either you don't let him get to that point, or 2, you don't let him catch the football. Like, they're all worried about, this guy's not set, this guy's not set. Well, cover the damn receiver, bro. What do you mean he's not set? It don't matter. The play's off, cover the damn receiver, right? Like, you want to get mad at the refs and this and the third, but what about your team allowing them to score 49 points? Or what about your offense only scoring 48 points? If your offense would have scored 60 points, what's the difference, right? Like, we won the game. It doesn't matter. That last play doesn't happen. So it's like, man, it's football. There's, like we just call it, you can call a penalty every play. But penalties not called every play. So it's like, at the end of the day, you lost. Take it on the chin. You're a man. Take it on the chin.
That's the thing I think too is like, how about some accountability, coach? How about you say, I made I made some bad calls, because we should have been up by more, and then it wouldn't even have mattered if they were a false start or not set or whatever, because the way we played and we dominated them in all phases of the game, you know, then it wouldn't even be an issue. But to like blame shift and to put it off on a referee. I don't know, man, because the referee
I
wasn't
don't
playing the
like
game.
that
He's just like
mentality.
you said, Andrew. Yeah, he's doing his job, and it's a bad message to send to the youth. Like, oh, you lost the game, so blame the umpire in your baseball game because he called a strike, or they called you out when you thought you were safe. It makes it bad for younger kids because then they're like, oh, see, I told you. It's always the ref. It's not the fact that I didn't do my
No,
best and do what I needed to do to make the game turn out the way I wanted it. I want to blame somebody because I don't want to take accountability. How about some
Exactly.
accountability?
Right
that's
there.
what it
And
comes
the
down to.
thing that
Yep.
what
Right?
Coach said is so important is in the youth we have now, with the way society is, you can already see that the accountability factor is lacking in these younger kids. Like they're not being
Huge.
accountable for their actions. Like they're getting online and they're saying things, and then when someone comes and says like, "All right, you want to talk about it?" to their face, like they don't want to be accountable for that action anymore, right?
Nope.
You can
Right.
see this. So to go
Yep.
on to a press conference and to even show more that like you don't want to take accountability as your actions as a full adult, as a man. As a man, like I said, you take your losses like you take your wins. Like I'm accountable for my losses. If I lost, it was on me. Right? If I lose in a basketball
Right.
game 1-on-1, that shit's on me. I lost. Not I didn't lose because this person cheated. I lost because I couldn't stop him from scoring the basketball, right? That's accountability. And when the one thing we talked about, actually, it's good you bring this up, is we talked about that after the Jacksonville game, leading up to the playoff game, accountability. We said, allow your brothers to hold you accountable. Don't take it as he's trying to be rude to you. He's expecting you to do your job. So if you're not doing your job, he's going to hold you accountable for it. And we did that last week. And look what happened. When we hold each other accountable, what happens? You go and you dominate because you're like, this guy is relying on me to hold myself accountable to win this rep, right? And if I don't do it, he's going to come to me and he's going to bitch me out so that I win the rep next time. Maybe he doesn't bitch you out, but maybe he gets on your ass like, hey, man, you're better than that. Like, don't fall for that. You knew he was going to do a hitch and go there, and you still bit on the hitch. Why? We went over this all week in practice, lock in. And that person next play is like, I ain't getting beat on the fucking hitch and go again. You ain't getting me with that again, right? Because he's like, this person came to me, and he told me that he believes in my ability to play this game of football. And it was funny because we had this new kid. He's from Eastern Michigan. His name, guy. Man, Damari Roberson, cool as hell. And Damari goes, he says, I tell you this after every game, but he's like, you a real cracker. That's what he always tells me. You a real cracker, bro. Because it's just the way it is, And he's like, even sometimes when I feel like I don't have energy, he says, I see you out there and you yelling at the crowd and you yelling. He's like, it gets me turned up, bro. He's like, I want to go make a play. He's like, I see you doing that. I want to go make a play. And it's not that I'm coming to him personally, holding him accountable. He knows this dude, Andrew, is giving everything he has to win the game. So I'm going to go make a play for him. This dude, Damari, is doing everything he can to hit this dude and make a play. So me, Andrew, is going to go do everything I can on offense to score a touchdown for him when he gets us the ball back, right? That's accountability.
Yep.
Accountability doesn't only come when someone comes and confronts you. Accountability is always holding yourself accountable because you know those people are relying on you. So if I lose my rep, it isn't because my right guard didn't pass the game off. It isn't because my left guard didn't pass the game off. I could have been better. Maybe I could have slapped the guy across faster and gotten to my position better, but I didn't. I didn't use my hands, and now it's like we were on different levels and we got beat. Yep. Now we're both accountable for it. So when we look at each other, we're like, we just got to be better. Like I look at my left guard, look at my right guard, like we'll get it next time. Like it is what it is. They got us on that. Max scrambled. He threw the ball. Like we're good. Let's get to the next play, right? It's the accountability thing that's such a problem in this. It's like you can sit there, and I've lost some games because of the refs. I will say this. Like, I ain't going to sit here and cry about it, but at some point I was like, okay, like, some of that shit was crazy that happened during my college career. But never one time did we go into that locker room and say we lost the game because of the ref. You know what Coach told us? We shouldn't have been in that position in the first place because we should have scored here. We should have turned the ball over here. Defense should have got the sack. We should have got a pick here. Like, it's on us, man. We had the plays to win the game, and we missed the plays to win the game. Every football game usually boils down to 4 or 5 plays.
Yeah.
Scoring touchdowns, dropping touchdowns, missing a field goal, or allowing a sack at the end of the game. 4 or 5 plays.
Yep.
It tends to always boil down to 4 or 5 plays. So it's like, those 4 or 5 plays, if we would have been perfect, we would have won the game, right? Just is what it is.
Exactly.
All right, man. So we're getting to a point where you probably got to get going. I'm sure you gotta get to your treatment. So it's 8:48 your time, or it's 7:48 here. So what time are you supposed to be out of here? I want to make sure you get out. So
9.
what time are you supposed to?
Probably around 9 because it's about 20 minutes.
You have to be there at 9?
No, I have to be there at 9:30, but I have to leave at 9. I have to leave here at 9. Yeah.
Okay, so So we'll get through this last little bit here, and then we'll make sure you get out of here. So we're gonna do a little quick. I'm gonna give you 2 questions, a little lightning round here. So tell me I need one word that describes this team this year. What's one word that describes your brothers, your teammates right now for the Blizzard, this 2025 class? Selfless? Good. All right. And then this other question, outside of being in Green Bay, obviously, what's been the favorite IFL city you've played in?
It's a good question.
And you can talk because you have been pretty much at every stadium the IFL's had, because you played on the West Coast last year. You're on the East Coast this year. So you don't have to be this year. You can think about last year as well. What is, and it could be more than one, but what are a city or two that's like, yeah, this is a pretty cool place to be or check out?
Okay, there's a couple. We just talked about them, the Rattlers. I love going to the Rattlers. And I mean, to be fair, I have yet to win in the Rattlers Stadium, which bugs me because I want to so bad. The reason I love going to the Rattlers is because they're fans. Their fans are on that. They shit talk, all of that. So I love going out there and just butchering their D linemen in front of them. No matter what, I love it. I love it when they talking shit and I can put someone down and just look at them and let them know, like, the reason this dude just happened to him is because of you. I like the atmosphere, but I'd say my favorite place I have been was Massachusetts. Not the arena, but the place in Massachusetts. We stay in this hotel at Massachusetts, and I'm big into, like, medieval, like, knights, dragons. Like, I'm a nerd. At the end of the day, I love video games. I love that shit. And the hotel we stayed in was a straight dungeon, man. It was a castle. They had pillars. There was a dungeon for a gym, like a massive gym for a hotel. And I was like, oh, this place is sweet. Like, I love that hotel. Like, the whole trip, I'm like, dude, I love this hotel. People just looking at me crazy, like, why is he so fascinated by this hotel? I'm like, dude, you don't realize we're staying in a castle right now. This is a castle. Like, we're literally staying in a castle. So I would say Massachusetts was my favorite place to go, just because that hotel was badass, man. But yeah.
Well, hopefully they can still keep their franchise there. Unfortunately, they've been talking about moving it. So here in the next year or two. So yeah, Tampa Bay. So we'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to skip. I had a movie mashup, but I think I'll skip over that one and we can do it next time. I do want to get to our last segment though, and that is our mascot. We're going back to high school. We're going to go to Centralia, Illinois. So you're in the neck of the woods. In fact, you're going to be heading to Illinois here tomorrow. So Centralia. All right. So Centralia High, this place is about over 12,000 residents. It's overall the metro area is about 37,000. So the surrounding towns. Medium home value is between $80,000 to $100,000. So that's actually not too bad. Average income is per household is around 64,000, with median being around 47,000. Major employment sectors there: healthcare, social assistance, manufacturing, retail, trade. So we are going to talk about the orphans, the Centralia Orphans. So yeah, so their nickname came back. Came back in the early 1900s at the state basketball tournament. The team wore mismatched red uniforms due to financial constraints, and the announcer remarked that they looked like orphans, and that name stuck. The Orphans have an impressive legacy. They're first high school boys basketball team in the U.S. to reach 2,000 wins. They achieved this milestone in the 2007-2008 season. They won state championships in 1918, 1942, and 1943. And since the 2024 season, they've accumulated 2,300 wins.
Wow.
Oh, and they've been voted 2002-14 USA most unique mascot in the nation. So there you go. Centralia Orphans.
What is
so
that?
before we get out of here,
Oh, here, let me show you, Coach.
And the other thing I was going to tell you, the girls' teams are called Annies, like orphan Annies. So the girls are called Annies.
Okay. It's kind of small. I know.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, they're the orphans. So, and the girls are the Annies. So now you know. So is there anything else, any shout out you want to give out, Andrew T, to anybody before we get going here? Anything else you want to say?
I just want to say, Andrew, thanks for coming on, man. Great game. Got to watch you, man. It was pretty cool. Huddy was nice enough to let me get his login, and I watched, man. It was great to see you play again, man. Continue being great and go kick ass and go pick up another dub, man. It's going to be awesome.
Appreciate it, Coach. Hell yeah. That's just what I'd say is, I mean, hopefully I get to talk to you guys next week, and we're talking about the championship in Tucson, right?
That would
Like,
be
that's
so awesome. That would be so awesome.
And I am going to bring this up, no pressure, and I don't want to jinx anything. If you win next week, there's talk of a road trip to Tucson.
Oh, heck yeah, let's go.
So so I'll just let you know kind of what's going on. I got family in Tucson, so the expense of me staying somewhere, or me and my wife, and then the Gonzos will come with us. I think the four of us are going to go down. It's like a 15-hour drive from here. So I think what we're going to probably do is we're going to think about driving down there to go to the game. And so we're in the process of thinking about that. But the only way that's going to happen is you got to take care of business Saturday. And when that happens, then we'll work out everything else to get our asses down there. So we're going to try doing that for you. Get down and support you.
Hell yeah.
That would be so
We're going to work that in.
Yeah, heck yeah. My family's making the car ride down there too. So that'll be good.
Yeah. And it sounds like you got some family. It sounds like your sister's going to catch you in Quad City, right? Is Jessica coming?
Yep. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, she's. Yep.
Yeah, and I know your mom was going to try to make a trip. I don't know if that ever happened or not. Did your mom make it?
Yeah, and my brother Johnny was going to try to make it up with his girlfriend too, but it's just the flights are expensive, time on work. It's hard. I mean, my family hasn't made it to a home game this year, and I'm not going to lie, at some point I kind of felt a little type of way about it, but the more I realize it, like, I'm just so far, you know, and those flights are expensive. You know, a lot of my family's never flown before. It's tough. So I'm not upset with my family or anything for not making it. You know, it's just I'm far from home, so it's okay. But it's cool that my sister lives in Illinois now, so she can make the game. So you know, just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
I get to see one of my siblings, and I don't get to see her when I'm home, so it's good to see her this time.
Hey,
so, yeah.
I got one more, Huddy. This is what I got to say. Fans of this show, let's make it happen. Let's get Andrew's family out there. Let's make it connect. Find a way to get this dude's family out there because that would be super cool. That would be so cool for that dude. Let's see what we can do. There's got to be somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's something we can work on. I mean, I don't think my followers have that much clout yet. So I'm hoping, we get something. Remember, it's networking. We kind of talked about networking, so we're working on that. I know Coach Bruno, he made a shout out to you. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, about the Prague
talking to you about going down to Prague. Dude, out of all the cities to go to, Prague would be beautiful to see. I would love to see because it's Prague is like, it's a Gothic structures. It's beautiful. And one of my old roommates, he traveled over Europe and he said Prague was the most beautiful city he's ever been to. But anyways, so we're going to let you go, man. We'll let you get out of here so you can make your appointment. Again, I appreciate you guys for being on here. Everybody that's been listening to us, I appreciate it. T appreciate it. Gonzo appreciates it. You know, the views that are going on the reels and stuff like that, everything. Got people a minute miss. North Carolina, Massachusetts, have somebody from Massachusetts chimed in. So, you know, it's getting nationwide. So I'm hoping, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen. So again, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey,
I appreciate you guys.
All right, guys.
I'll see you guys later.